Joining us now from New Orleans, CCH Pounder, who stars in the series NCIS New Orleans, Sunday nights on CBS. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining us. It is a pleasure to have you here with us. Thanks again.
You have got a radio voice.
That's a radio voice with television combined. I got to begin by asking how you're doing. First of all, as we go to record this, it is we are back in. Well, let's just say Biden is ahead now, and you are a news junkie, correct?
Yes. Well, I'm an election news junkie. I'd like to
junkie.
know who is running my country.
Well, right now it's looking like Biden, but that could all change. And I say this because we've got a special NCIS. This is season number 7. As it premieres on Sunday. But Lord knows, it could be delayed for some reason. You never know with the way things are going. So it's a 2-parter, right?
It's a 2-parter. Could it be delayed because of a hurricane, perhaps? Because of a storm? Because of unrest? Because of COVID?
First of all, let us begin with this. How are you doing? You've got COVID going on down there. You were hit by at least one hurricane. How are you and your family doing down there?
I'm doing fantastic. I am. I am in a city of resilience, and I'm loving it because every time something happens, well, I always call my assistant, Frank Roman, I go, get over here. I don't want to do this through by myself. And he comes, and other than that, just a body in the house, I've just managed. It hasn't been horrendous. And I don't think I'm not a child of a major war or anything that oh, this is nothing. I've had a couple of earthquakes in my life that were scary, but other than that, it's just part of living right now, you know.
You learn to
appreciating the fact that everything is still standing.
And you guys have been back on the set now for how long?
I am on episode 5.
Already?
So we've been back since about September 15th, I think it was. So
what's it been like?
It's very different. It's a little bit military, and I see the need for it. It's we do COVID tests 3 times a week. We wash hands, wear your mask in between shots. It distances you from the actor in a funny way because you stay in your own pod, and conversations are difficult when we're talking like this all the time. It's difficult. So we're all challenged because we want to be there. I think that's why it's working. We want to be there. We want to make the stories happen.
Let's do a little bit of a preview on this new season because your part, Dr. Loretta Wade, is caught up right in the middle of COVID, not just in real life, but in the series as well. Catch us up. What happens as we resume the new season?
Well, definitely, we have not ignored COVID at all. It is part of our story, and it's part of New Orleans. New Orleans had one of the highest numbers, so you couldn't exactly ignore it. So it's been incorporated into the story. And Dr. Wade is impacted on it because as opposed to dealing with a few bodies, she's dealing with a lot of bodies, an overwhelming amount of bodies. And she has taken to the post-work cocktail heavily, and it's really impacted the way she behaves. And even though she is working, it's affecting her work, it's affecting her family and her friends. And so we've been taking a look at this. What I love about CBS and how they did this one was that it didn't all get wrapped up in one show. It's a continuing problem that things don't always get solved like that.
What is it about this character, about Dr. Loretta Wade, that spoke to you, that made you say, yeah, I want to be her in this series?
Well, she didn't speak to me. I'll be honest. She didn't speak to me because I was always worried, you're playing a coroner. It's a rather dull, you're dealing with dead people for the most part. But the investigative part of it, I didn't see until I was actually working in it, until I met the coroners whose life's work is to give answers to how your loved one passed away. And so once I did all of those interviews and talks with real coroners, then I was able to latch on to something that made her more than just, blunt force trauma to the head.
You know, also, besides the technical portion of it, if you follow the series, if Scott Bakula is the, if you will, leader of the pack,
Absolutely.
to me anyway, Dr. Loretta Wade is the heart and soul of the pack.
I kind of feel more like his work wife, it's like,
That's true too.
what happened to that body? And then I can tell him, like a recipe for dinner. So I kind of feel a little bit more like that. And I think one of the things that I'm really happy about is that New Orleans has also colored who she is.
Yep.
And there is a lot more sass available to her. There's a lot more dancing. There's a lot more things that she can do alongside of her work and still make her a very potent person within the job that she does.
And in the aggregate, what is it about the series? What is it about NCIS New Orleans that has resonated with viewers? We're in seventh season now.
I know, but I got a feeling that the New Orleans is the big star.
Really?
I really do. To be able to film and watch a steamboat go by, to have the river at your disposal, to have industry, there's trains going by for 20 minutes at a time. It's not as if, oh my God, we've got to wait till that train goes by. No, we can film it because it'll still be there when we turn around. And that's pretty marvelous to have.
And they've also taken advantage of the crossover episodes with NCIS.
Yes.
Do you like that? What's that like for you guys?
Well, I haven't participated in one of them lately, but I think it's really important because you realize that it's story and it originates from this group of people. And I think that is really wonderful and how different it is. Can you hear my doorbell?
I can. I love it. I love someone tell them to come on in and make themselves at home. If they want to join us, that's fine too. When you moved down there, were you living out here in Los Angeles, or how did
Yes, I was in LA.
Can we go back? You got out here, but your routing has been very interesting. Born and raised in Georgetown, Guyana?
Born in Guyana, raised in England, and came to America
Which gives you
at college age.
I went to Ithaca. I said you have the most interesting regional accent because you've got you honestly do. And I listened to those areas, and you topped it off with Ithaca, which was.
I know.
What made you go into? What made you say I want to be an actor? What was it that was it at a young age? Was it?
I knew it a long time ago, but I dared not say it because I've come from parents of a Caribbean parentage. You make doctors and lawyers, and that's it. Maybe a nurse or two, maybe. And they were very strict about what they thought their children were going to be. And ironically, my mother said, well, we always give you something specific because until you change your mind, at least you have an idea of where you're going. I was like, okay, great. So I was secretly an actor for a very long time. And even my first 3 or 4 jobs, I just never mentioned it. I just went back to my temporary job and had standing ovations at night. It was great. And never mentioned it to my parents until I had to.
How far along were you? Were you in New York, out here? Where were you?
I was in New York. I had already done 2 plays. And Bob Fosse had asked for a Caribbean nurse.
All that jazz?
My agent sent me over to read for him. And I thought I was just coming to read. And he said, you've got to do it. And I said, oh, but Mr. Fosse, I've never done anything in film. I'm from the theater. And he patted me on the shoulders like, idiot. And said, no, you're going to do well. Come on, I'll get you your card. And that's how it started. And then I had to tell my mother.
And how did she react to that?
She thought, well, is it a hobby? I mean, how's it going to be? How is that going to work? How are you going to get paid? Well, what happens when it's over? Then what? And so I said, oh, it's going to work out. Don't worry. And it did.
That she was watching out for you. She was
You know
watching.
what? She never paid me a compliment, but all of her friends around her said, "Your mother never stops talking about you. She's this." So, typical,
I went
typical.
through that exactly, almost identical to what you're
Oh
talking
my
about.
gosh.
And then the series started coming, the ERs. You
Yeah.
can go on and on with the work that you received. When that happens, you go with the flow, or do you try to chart a career? What happens?
No, I mean, I guess when I started, we were right at the point of, I can't believe I'm in the door. So I did go with the flow. ER was interesting. ER was the first series that I left because I felt that the character was not growing. And I did 5 years, and then I said, I'm not going anywhere. So, and I left because I felt, in a box.
Did you leave to something, or did you just go?
I just went.
Wow, that's a risk taker. You're a risk taker. And
Yeah.
and how? What was the next gig?
Oh gosh. I think I did then a series of movies of the week, and things came at a scattered point, but I never went all the way flat. You know what I mean? There
How
was always
scared did you?
something.
How scared were you?
I wasn't scared. I was just like, when is the next one coming? I think I was more, let's get on with it, people. Don't you see? Here I am.
You're ready. The show must go on. Let's do it. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
the other part of you, you were an artist, and has that been with you since you were a child as well?
Same thing. I had a huge conflict with which one of these art worlds I wanted to live in. And Stella Curran, who was one of my great mentors, said, acting is for young people. He said, art, as long as you've got your eyes and your hands, you'll be okay. And so in my mind, I thought, oh, okay, so the first half of my life, I'll do acting. And then the second half, I'll do painting. And it just doesn't work out that way.
So you did both
I became
together.
an art appreciator instead. And I was able to introduce a lot of my acting friends to artists and their work. And I feel like really proud that I've expanded the idea of that art is in many, many directions. So go see a ballet and go see an art gallery, and all of the things that I love, I share it with my friends.
You're a collector.
And I'm a collector.
You like doing that. And do you paint? Do you?
I don't paint anymore. I used to make jewelry for the longest time. I make collages every now and again, but they're more like if I wrote you a letter, it would be interesting.
And a part of you too, in that art and design, you get. You must be an interesting person with your crew, with the set folks, because you, from what I've gathered with you, you've got the eye to look at a room, to look at a set, and kind of figure it out. I mean, do you like that part?
Well, I love to
Yeah.
remodel
There
houses.
we go.
And therefore, when anything on set has to do with me, the designers always send me a preview of what do you think? And is it infused with enough
I had that feeling.
simplicity or artisticness or whatever? So yes, and it's kind of wonderful because it challenges them. And I don't think our Victoria Paul is our designer, and she has been amazing in everything. And just the other day, she sent me Dr. Wade's new home.
Oh my! So how does it look?
It's fabulous. It's fantastic. Yeah, what a beautiful job she did.
And that, I'm gathering that comes from when you grew up too. Your mother may have had something to do with that as well.
I think they wanted us to see everything.
That's
They
it.
wanted, yeah. And also, Guyana was a small country. And the moment that my mother got the opportunity to leave and go and travel and see the world, and there were places that she went, and I was like, oh my God, you were in Russia, you were there. And there's a certain thing that's like a busman's holiday. You have saved up all year, and No, you're not going by the Concorde. You're going on a bus and you're going to drive through Istanbul and you're going to drive down there and you're going to go over there. And they would have these sort of 21-day holidays that they took off, and they'd have the best time. They met wonderful people, and those people became their friends and said, well, I'm from India, come and see me here. And my mother said they don't remember ever using a hotel. Now, it was also the times. It was maybe 60s and 70s. I think we were still a miserable country. And so it was a bit difficult, and they probably knew the Green Book very well. But it didn't stop their curiosity.
And do you get back there, Al?
I went for its 50th anniversary. Yes, I was there 3 years ago. Yeah.
You watch the changes and all the rest.
Lots of changes, and now they've found oil, and God help us. God help. There'll be a takeover like you wouldn't believe. But anyway,
now,
let's see.
NCIS New Orleans rolls on season 7. Would you like to see it move ahead for another? The mothership has been there for a long time. Could you see yourself in this series for a long while?
I can't see myself in the series forever. There are other things that I would like to do, but sorry about the buzzer. There are things that, if I can incorporate them in my life, I will continue to do NCIS. It's been a pleasure.
Which brings us to another part of your television film world, Avatar. Bring us up to date, because we've got 2 more coming from Cameron. Where do they stand, and where do you stand with them?
I've already done 2 and 3, and he is a really special human being. His brain, the things that they come up with, they're so inventive that it's going to be amazing.
And with that in mind, give me your perspective on what our industry is going to be like now, because here's Avatar 2 and 3. You don't know if you're going to see it in the theater or you're going to see it at home. What's your take on all of that? Are we going back to movie theaters or what?
I think a box world is changing. It really is. I think we're becoming more marginalized and more insular in terms of who we are and who we want to be around, and safety issues and security. And I don't particularly think it's going to be pretty. And I think that we're going to create bubbles that we tried to before, in terms of, well, these houses are very expensive, so only a certain group of people who can afford it live there, and everyone else is sort of over there. And I think all those separations are going to manifest themselves. And I'm not optimistic about the mass gatherings, because I think the mass gatherings will be the underbelly of our society, and people who can keep themselves away from all of that will be doing that. So think about the giant screen in your basement.
They've been talking about this though for years, and now we're moving into a different.
We're moving towards it.
Just a couple more things. As we record this, Biden has now moved ahead. This is real. It's like going like to the horse races. Who's ahead, and then how politically motivated are you in this election year?
This has been the greatest year for us in terms of demanding your vote, choosing to vote, becoming part of your society. And what it's done, it's actually, to me, opened up the picture, and you see how absolutely polarized we are. Mm-hmm. And I don't think any winner is going to be in great shape. I don't think any winner is going to be able to save us for the next 4 years. But after that, I think there's a possibility. I think we're in a rough road for a moment.
Do you get involved down there in the politics of Louisiana?
Not of Louisiana, no.
Nationally, will you?
When I'm asked to do things, I am not apolitical, but I I wouldn't even say I stay in my lane, but I think I have a more global view of the world, and therefore I don't spend too much time in the politics of it. I want the results and how we can work things out. So I'm much more interested in a solution of things than I am in the petty day-to-day red, blue, all of that.
Sure.
Drives me nuts.
And finally, what's your life like now down in New Orleans as you kind of navigate through COVID? And what's it like for you down there now?
Well, New Orleans is interesting for me because it's a new life. I am a newly minted widow, so after 25 years, 27 years, and now I'm on 2016, I became a widow, so I'm in the fourth year. I'm just now beginning to kind of, okay, let's open the windows and take a look at the world and not bury myself in work. And this was the unexpected place. This was the place that I was just coming to work. And now I've made it my home. And
if the series comes to an end, you want to stay there, huh?
If the series comes to an end, I will be here until something else calls me.
See, that says a lot about that area. And it's one of the charming cities in America. No question about it. It just is that, it's that kind of
charming with a lot of problems.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of problems. And but it's beautiful.
And so, which brings us back on the series. Any changes we should know about within the series? Any surprises? You can always say that the attorneys will let you talk about. Anything you can tell us that we should know as we move through season number 7 of NCIS?
I'm going to tell you what is going to be the surprise, because it's usually surprises are built in. Because of COVID, because of how we're living right now, the surprises happen on the spot while we're working, and the changes like, okay, well, that's not going to happen, or that person has to go home for 14 days, or we can't replace him with another actor. How can we rewrite scenes? So things become very quickly agile.
So real life dovetails.
Real life dovetails.
That.
Absolutely.
So you guys really are kind of flexible in that respect, which is great.
Very flexible.
Which is great. I have to tell you, it is a pleasure to finally meet you, to talk with you. Look forward to talking with you again, perhaps as Avatar comes out, which is, when is it? When's 2 coming out?
I don't remember because the dates keep changing.
Everything's changing. So
I'm not reliable in this area.
Well, I have to tell you that we will keep an eye on it. Look forward to talking with you again. I do really mean to stay safe in all aspects of your life. Thank you so much. We'll see you Sunday nights as season 7 on a 2-parter begins, and then we roll through NCIS New Orleans Sunday nights on CBS. CCS Pounder, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. You take care of yourself, and you be safe too.
A pleasure.